What's going on, everybody? Storm Team 4 Chief Meteorologist Brian Niznansky here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This is Niz Weather Wizdom. The current time is 1 o'clock on your Monday afternoon. Happy Monday, everybody. Let's get back to the grind. It is Groundhog's Day. The Groundhogs have made their predictions. And then I'll get into somewhat of a prediction myself as far as what I think winter is going to do the rest of winter and into spring. So, again, this is Niz Weather Wizdom. Thank you for joining. If you're watching this later on, not live, again, just keep in mind the time right now is 1 o'clock on Monday afternoon, February 2nd. Thanks for joining. If you have a question, if you have a comment, please leave that question and comment in the comment section, and we'll try to address it live. And if we don't get to it live, or if you have a question later on in the day, I'll try to answer to those comments as well. So let's get right to it. As I mentioned, the Groundhogs have made their predictions. And here in southern Wisconsin, we have what is known as Jimmy, and Jimmy predicted an early spring. Now, Punxsutawney Phil saw a shadow despite it being cloudy. That's what's to me, that's what's so silly about this. They don't even go by the conditions that actually are out there. They just do whatever they want. And Phil's predictions haven't been very good. I'll get into more of that in a second, but Phil predicted 6 more weeks of winter. Now, with that said, another silly part about this all is 6 more weeks of winter here in Wisconsin brings it to middle of March. And I think that's an early spring for us, technically. If we start getting true spring weather in middle of March, St. Patrick's Day, we're pretty happy about that. That would be an early spring. So it's all silly. It's fun. It's cool. It's whatever. But yeah. How about we actually dive into what really could happen here the rest of winter, and we'll just go with that. But again, it's fun if people want to, take part and believe the Groundhog. It's cool. All right, let's see what we got going on. Obviously, the last several weeks, actually, now we've had really cold air, not only across the Great Lakes, but dipped way to the south. And in general, that cold air has really backed off. So now things are looking a lot more moderate, average the rest of the week. And then by the end of the week, as we're looking at the upper levels here, by Thursday into Friday, we have what looks like really warm air setting up to the west of us. By the way, I'm going to get into a longer range prediction of winter, but what I want to do is kind of establish what we got going on first. You have a ridge of high pressure out west that tries to push in here. There is still a chance the models aren't handling this well and that ridge moves in. But as of right now, it looks like instead another cold air, invasion comes in from the north for the weekend. Not nearly as potent or as major of a blast of cold as the last round of extreme cold, but we'll have to keep an eye on this too, because if all of a sudden this trough winds from the north, then we're slammed with below zero stuff again. So we find ourselves right on the transition line. So I could see average temperatures, if not maybe slightly above midweek. And then by the weekend, a big cool down based on this model's upper level trends. Let's look at temperature anomalies. Departure from normal. In general, reds are are warmer than average. Blues are colder than average. And you'll see how the cold air, eastern half of the United States with that trough, and then above average out west. Notice how that above average starts to creep in here by midweek, and then it takes its hit. You see that? So that basically Thursday into Friday shows the same thing as that upper level map I showed you. how that battle zone really tries, that warmth really tries to push in. And then it looks like we get socked, or at least a glancing hit of cold. Still kind of average, though. I mean, this weekend, right now, if things play out the way it looks like, 20s for highs. So, but we're going to be right on the fringe of what would be, some serious cold or a big warm up. Major transition zone for sure. All right. So now bear with me. It's not going to be the best graphics with this because I'm going to have to, go to a browser, and as we dive a little bit deeper into like a winter prediction. So bear with me. Again, the graphics might not be as perfect as what I have here. But what we'll do is I need the help from the Climate Prediction Center. We're going to use them as a steering to predict the rest of winter, or at least give us a hint of what we can expect. So, by the way, again, if you are watching this, please leave a question or comment. Thanks for joining on Facebook. Thanks for joining on YouTube. If you want to hop over to YouTube and find this page, Niz Weather Wizdom or Brian Niz Weather Wiz, just search Brian Niz and hopefully you find the page, and then subscribe. Hit subscribe. Would love to see my subscribers go up. That way more people see this, and then you get push notifications to see this. So it's a win-win, hopefully, for everybody. Trying to really explore the digital space. Lori says, hi. Hey, Lori. How you doing? Sid says, hello, Niz. I love getting your videos, Sid, from the snow last week. And always, it's always great. Yeah, we got some flurries still going on for sure. Thanks again for those questions, comments. Let's get back to it. So, as I mentioned before, what we're looking at here is what I want to do is I want to predict the rest of winter, or at least give you a general idea of what our odds look like. And the main focus of that, always with climate prediction, is going to be El Nino and La Nina. Let's start with what the heck that means. There is a spot in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of South America, way out there, basically where you see that blue blob out in the Pacific Ocean. That's indicating temperatures cooler than average. And that's the spot right there along the equator that if it's below average, then it's La Nina. And that's what we're seeing. We are in La Nina. And so far, that really hasn't had much of an effect on our weather. I mean, typically a La Nina season for winter for us is pretty average and slightly above average precipitation. I think we saw that, especially in November with the snow, but we've been colder than average precipitation. So you get the idea. It's not like the end all. But what I want you to take from this is La Nina is still existing, which usually translate to average temperatures and slightly above average precipitation. So if that holds the rest of winter, that would be the prediction. Average temperatures slightly. Now we can dive into other things, but let's just base this on La Nina, slightly above average precipitation. I say that with hesitation though, and I'll explain why. Here's this map. And again, I know you can't see things perfectly, but I'll try to explain things the best I can. Notice between the map I showed you here, which shows the current conditions, departure from normal, cooler than average. This is the change over the last 7 days. And you'll notice the change over the last 7 days. You got a lot of little oranges and blues. You got pretty much no change, if not slightly getting warmer, I would say. Slightly warming up from average. So what this tells me going from this to this is an indication that La Nina is backing off. And if we get into a neutral environment, then we're about as boring and average as we can get for the rest of winter. But it's all in perspective because normal and average is a lot warmer than where we've been. And we're now getting out of, on average, the coldest time of the year. So that would mean our weather ahead is going to be noticeably warmer than the single digits and below zero nights. just that's what average does. I mean, that's average in February is warmer than average in January, and we were below average. Make sense? All right. So with that said, I want to look at what the Climate Prediction Center is thinking just to verify my thoughts here. Here is a discussion through them. Again, you don't have to read this specifically, but I will tell you what it says. The current phase of El Nino Southern Oscillation is La Nina. What we just saw, we are in La Nina. A transition to neutral conditions is likely during early 2026. With that said, they expect La Nina impacts at least through February, March, April. So they're still banking on La Nina conditions. From what I'm seeing is it's already phasing out of here, like recently. So this discussion here was actually done back in January, and maybe they weren't anticipating the warming that I'm seeing right now over the last 7 days. And maybe we get a new discussion update soon. What I'm seeing is La Nina backing off an average. Let's see what their latest 90-day predictions look like, which means the next 3 months. Let's see what we got. Well, let's take a look at just the next month. Below average. I would see this more closer to average. I'll be flat out honest with you. And then let's go to 3 month there. There's equal. So February, March, April, equal temperature. Average. How exciting is that, right? Average. All right, let's do precipitation 3 month. Whoops, sorry. Did temperature again. Precipitation 3 month above average. That could get interesting. So Climate Prediction Center, you have a team of meteorologists who are doing what I'm doing million. Like that's their job. So I trust them. I would be extremely arrogant to think that I would be able to whip up a better seasonal outlook. So I'll trust them. Average, which I totally agree with, but they're looking at above average for precipitation. So I'd have to dive in specifically deeper into why that is, but we don't have time today. So we'll take their word for it, which is what I would do anyways. Above average precipitation could be in the form of snow, especially if we have average temperatures in March and, February. So that's it. That's what I'll sum up. Average temperatures, which I totally can confirm and agree with. And then the above average for precipitation. I'll have to kind of do some diving into that, but that's what the Climate Prediction Center is. That's not what a groundhog says. That's what the Climate Prediction Center says. Team of the smartest climatologists out there, smarter than myself. And that's what they do. So yeah, I hope that sums things up a little bit. Do you have any thoughts or anything? Lori says, a little clap. Thank you. Jim says, hi from Sheboygan. What's up, Jim? And yeah, so again, if you are watching this on YouTube, whether it's live or later on, be sure to subscribe to Brian Niz Weather Wiz. If you're on Facebook, I highly encourage you to head over and find my page on YouTube as well. So thank you all. Oh, Sarah says, hey, Sarah, how you doing? Hi, Brian. Warmer temps. I'll take it. Thank you. Yeah. In general, looking ahead, again, average. Looks average. But average is a lot warmer than where we've been, which was way below average during the coldest time of our year. So average in February is warmer than average of January, and we were below average in January. So I hope that makes sense. I don't think we're going to jump to spring, but I think we are going to have more, typical temperatures. Some swings, ups and downs. And those swings, ups and downs, eventually could equate to more precipitation as well. So, all right, everybody. Thank you so much. It was a lot of fun, and we'll see you later.